Here we go, record. All right. So this is the meeting 2 of the Construction PDF Coalition, Friday, September 2nd. And what we're going to be going through today is an update again of the formal governance of the coalition. Now, for those of you who may have seen on the LinkedIn post, I did post a blog post today, and I'll go ahead and just click and pull this up real quick. So this is sort of a real digest of the last 3.5 years, the inception of the coalition. A lot of the same stories that are on the website, retaining the same stuff, but just getting more stuff out there as far as what this is all about, what our purpose is. That's really around grassroots coalition and trying to come up with pragmatic sort of data standards and PDF standards and guidelines to help us collaborate between designers and builders. So as I go through here, some great links, some other ways, or some information about the Autodesk interest and really what has spurred our need to start to formalize and come up with governance so that they can more formally support our efforts, and then from there really gather other interests from other technology partners. But then knowing that in order to do that means sort of this having to grow up, and that's where actually I'll go ahead and hop back into the meeting minutes, because we do have a little bit of the organization, the agenda, or I'm sorry, the organizational structure of how we have at least framed it thus far, and we're going to be documenting and looking to confirm this governance at the Autodesk University, exact time to be determined. But you can see here in this high-level chart that the executive board itself, sort of above the 3 initiatives, is very small, just 5 members, chair, vice chair, and secretary, with 2 advisors that are non-voting, most likely. And then you'll see we'll always have a number of rolling initiatives. As of right now, we have 3 initiatives identified, updating our PDF guidelines that were the version 1.0 from 2014, getting that to a version 2.0. We have initiative number 2 is the project data dictionary, which is really around sort of data and metadata standards for how we share across drawings and across projects, across parties. And then initiative 3 here is the CPCoalition awareness and adoption. So one more thing before I dive into the initiatives. So we did have a lot of discussion around how do we structure the membership and the partners between industry influencers really being a grassroots industry organization. And so you can see here the way we've set up industry members as an individual member being a voting member, and that really anyone representing within the AECO spectrum that are practicing industry practitioners is who we consider to be qualified to be members, and we'll be providing further definition around that. Obviously the companies that they work for that want to be represented, we want to represent them as well. But an individual vote is an individual vote. Is how we're currently going. But again, looking for feedback from the industry, making sure that everybody agrees and is aligned with that approach. The next part here is where we talk about partner companies, which would be software providers as well as service providers and hardware providers. And then the category of industry organizations, which would be more of a sort of a level partnership. And that's sort of an interesting conversation where we've got great relationships with the BIM Forum and Consensus Doc and other standards organizations, and really not wanting to create more standards, but to really help refine and shape and maybe combine or collaborate on standards with these same organizations. So that's really sort of the role that we're trying to play as a coalition, but then also trying to be a voice to all of those technology providers and be the value, be the feedback and the knowledge that that side of the industry needs in order for us to move this forward and provide that sort of table for us to talk about. And so something that we're going to be talking a lot about between now and AU is, what is that relationship like? What is the value that software, hardware, service providers get for being part of this? What is that exchange? Because it needs to be fair, and so that's where we really want to hear from both sides. What is fair as we look to establish some of these rules of engagement between partners and members. I just talked really fast. Are there any questions, especially from any of the newer folks? And if I muted you, I'll make sure I don't. I think everyone's good.
Nathan, this is Josh from ProCore. Just wanted to mention that I just hopped on a few minutes later.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, and for everyone else who is hopping on, we do the roll call at the end because a lot of people hop on late. So yeah, we're gonna go through this again. Any questions? But then we do want to go do a roll call and hear from everyone and sort of where you're representing at the end. So thank you, Josh. Okay, but so the action items as far as the governance and trending towards this Autodesk University, I've just sort of jotted some things down here based on my action items, which would be drafting or the complete draft of the first governance document. And that's as long as Brianna can keep me accountable, I'm going to be getting that done by 9/9 and want to be sharing that with everyone through a studio session, which is, it's what we're using in the industry. So it's a fair tool that we've been using to share a lot of our other documents for collaborative review in a free open source collaboration space. So we'll be putting that up and seeing that go through for about a month or so, where we're going to be trending up towards the BIM Forum conference. And as we're having conversations with BIM Forum and what that's going to look like in Atlanta in mid-October is where we want to have a big report out and sort of a big working session to get all the feedback, really throw everything up against the wall and see what sticks to make sure that we finalize these documents between BIM Forum and Autodesk University and get everything signed in at that meeting. So that's where Frank Moore from Autodesk has been a huge support, huge advocate for us. And I'm going to be leaning on him and the Autodesk team to help us with a little bit of legal review. That's sort of their skin in the game, as well as some other Revit support between now and AU. With that, I think that's all I had on the governance side. Jim, are you on the call? Do you want to cover the initiative number 1?
Absolutely. So if you scroll back up just for a quick second, the right there, yeah, the studio session review is live right now. It's up on our LinkedIn site. We have a few comments, but not a lot of comments. The phone call today is actually growing quite a bit. So I think there's about 15 users right now. So, just kind of stepping back and making sure we jump on the LinkedIn site, grab that studio session, or if you guys need an invite, just raise your hand in the conference and or in this meeting, and we'll send you guys that direct invite. But that's really where we need the comments back by October 14th. So this is going to play a big role in the next set of updates, which tie into that first goal that we have is updating version 1.0, which is currently on the CPCoalition website right now. So that task is basically doing a refresh with the comments from everybody. So we have just an updated 2016 version of what the standards are right now. And from there, taking the version 1, version 1.5, and as we talk with everybody else, updating, to our full 2.0 version of what the guidelines look like and how they're accessible by everybody. So definitely the goal is to take all the comments that we receive on the session and in between little notes that we have in our side conversations and update the entire coalition. I don't know if it's jumping ahead a little bit with Terry Ann. Terry Ann had a great presentation out in New York that has some great comments on a new presentation and just kind of updating some of our data. So taking some of that outside presentation that we received and adding that to there. So I think that's kind of the update right now. We have some comments. We don't have a bunch, but we do have close to a month of time to gobble up some of this stuff and go from there.
So, and I know some of these, Jim, in the newer area, like we were talking about some of the raster vector, I think this was from that presentation.
Correct.
But I just want to make sure if there are any thoughts on, things that are not included in here that are not being addressed. Those are really the things that we want to make sure we get in here, because it is a pretty bare bones skeleton of, here's what contractors care about, but there's so much more within the design side and some of this process side that I think we can capture in here. So definitely want to encourage more input onto these documents so that we can revise those prior to the BIM form.
Yeah, and even taking it to a point where there's possibly a section to be completed by architect, to be completed by contractor, and having that section or that theory of, I'd say 70% of the projects are already under construction, and how do we get an architect more involved, or how do we get the contractor to know what his responsibility is for naming files and doing different items. So I think there's a lot of movement right now, and as we kind of have our conversations, yeah, there's definitely some areas that are not covered here that we definitely need to add.
Awesome, thanks, Jim. And,
yeah.
and just making sure this is the latest one, right? I thought you said something about 15 folks, and I just want to make sure we didn't change the studio session or something accidentally.
No, 15. There's I think from our previous call that we're on right now, there's a total of 15 members on that call. The studio session only has a few people in it. So as we progress with our calls, and as everybody gets the know about on LinkedIn, I'm hoping we got to keep on guiding them back to the session so we get some more involvement.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one sort of just formality thing would be, as folks do go through, and if you're completed, we're going to be looking towards the end to make sure that anybody that's in here is done, has sort of completed, said all their comments before we do wrap this up, and take these comments and incorporate them into the draft of version 2. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just go here. So yeah, so just to clarify now, Jim, this is a question I had for you, is that how much time do you need, or with your team, to take the comments and then actually develop them into a draft for version 2? Because if we're looking to have the draft by this 10/14, or essentially when the BIM Forum conference is, do you need 2 weeks? Do you need a week? How long do you need to incorporate these comments into something? Like, how long in advance do we need to tell everyone to stop reviewing so that you can take those comments?
I think we're okay with our 10/14 date, giving us that time frame. I'm taking this will be the first full week that we've been exposed and everybody making the comments. On this weekend, I'm going to take that and start digesting the comments and breaking that down. So if we wanted to have a breakout meeting prior to next week Friday, I can show you the modifications and updates that we're doing. So it's kind of a live update as we go, just kind of filling it out, and we can do our edits kind of through there with all the comments.
Well, and I think the hope for this, Jim, would be that we're going to have some of these conversations live in the studio session, and then, yeah, as you're addressing them, your Friday update will be, here's what we talked about, via the studio session in the last week.
Correct.
Just letting everybody know. And yeah, okay, awesome. So
yeah, so that would be planned for next week. It's not an actual just kind of an update looking at the meeting notes. It's going to be a digest and a deep dive into comments and sections as we go through the completed notes.
Yeah, so we'd love any, whether you want to click on an actual comment and reply back to it, which, doesn't show up on the sheet, just shows up down below, or if you want to make new comments. I think we want to create as much conversation with as many different people, because the nice thing, once again, about data is that all this data is being collected down below, that we can start to, run metrics and run other things to really show the impact that this is having, and really create this proof of concept for why this industry should focus so much more on digital and trusting and transparent workflows, and really capturing the value of the data. So great opportunity for us to sort of do a 2-for-1 here, both show the industry how to do this stuff, and also get some really great feedback on this document at the same time.
Yep.
Awesome. So next initiative, I know next week Lonnie is going to be giving a larger update. Lonnie, are you on the call? Yes, Lonnie is here. So do you want to just talk really quickly on what some of your initial thoughts are, Lonnie, on strategy and what you want to talk, and just set us up for next week?
Yeah, so a couple of different things. I'm hoping everybody can hear me okay. I'm in the car, so hopefully it's not too noisy.
Not too bad.
All right. So we're kind of looking, whenever we talked about the awareness initiative before, we knew we wanted to do a multi-pronged approach, and social media is probably the most logical place. So one of the things that I provided last week was a link to a Smartsheet form where you can submit anything from ideas about different social media concepts or different things that you're aware of, or groups of people that have that be affected by the CPC Coalition's guidelines. But also, I'm looking for, if you know somebody that's in your industry segment that is influential and part of social media. So, if they've got a strong Twitter presence, or they have a strong LinkedIn presence, or they have a strong Facebook presence, whatever social media that you're part of, and somebody has a strong presence in your industry segment, we want to identify really strong candidates that already have strong social media presence, and then tap into those folks and get them to help us bring the CPC Coalition initiatives forward. That'll be a part of our initial effort of creating this kind of multi-pronged social media, awareness around CPC. So that link is on the LinkedIn group. It's a URL, so you can go to anybody. It's not long, but it's just a full URL, I guess. If you also have ideas about, different things that you think are important around awareness. So if you think it's important that a specific part of the guideline solves a certain problem. So, very simple one we all know already, which is, using TrueType fonts as opposed to SHX font space. So, readable by a machine, which allows us to do searching and things of that nature. Those little things, the industry or situations or problems that the CPC can help solve. We'll want to create video pieces or social media content pieces that highlight those particular types of things. So no matter what segment you're in, I'm sure there are specific things about what the CPC guidelines do that really solve a specific industry problem that you see on a daily basis. So anything like that you know of or have, put that into that same form. And what that does is actually puts it into a task item list. So then we can organize them and get them categorized and then assign them out and track them appropriately. So it's really kind of a universal form to be able to try to get input from as many people as possible.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, and if I guess if you're on the call, Lonnie, I did post the same Smartsheet link in the meeting minutes here as well as in the chat box. So yeah, hopefully folks are on the call can just click in there, see some of those questions, just whatever's at the top of your head. Let's just get more of this stuff captured in here so we can start moving along with it. But is there anything else you wanted to cover, Lonnie?
The only other thing I meant to ask last week, but I forgot. I really need to get I want to create what we call bumpers for the videos that we're going to do. So it's a bumper is usually the organization logo that creates some brand awareness, and you put them in the front and the back end of any video that you do so that people get a consistent feel of what the organization is about. So usually it's just the organization logo, and then it's kind of animated and a couple of anywhere from 3 to 5 10-second little bumper pieces. But to do that, I get the CPC logo original artwork if available, or a form of the artwork that is clean so that can put together in a video.
That's a great idea. I know exactly what you're talking about, Lonnie. Carrie Ann, do you have any idea about the status of the logo?
Yeah, Lonnie, I can provide that to you. So I'll take that and get that. And as well, like at the very beginning of the video that was presented or that was played at the meeting on the 15th of August, that like short clip, I don't know how involved the animations you want, but there's like a short clip like at the very beginning that can kind of be our consistent branding that you can use throughout every video. And I have a copy of that video. I was actually just going through that today. So I can send that over to you, both of those items.
Something about the form for the Smartsheet too, it can actually upload video. You can upload files to it. So one of the things that you can pick on it and just say upload a file. So if you want to post those things to that, then everybody that's part of the Smartsheet will have it'll be there available for them.
In Slack or where?
Oh, in that the form, the link to the form for Smartsheet that we posted. When you go to that,
okay.
Upload a file. So.
Okay, to transfer you the logo?
Yeah, that way doesn't get lost in email and all that other
sure.
patch files discussion.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about, but I'll get with you offline and clarify.
Yeah, so I just noted that down here for Terry, and you could get the logo file, and we'll talk about, yeah, that intro video and how to get that done and just that set up for next week. So awesome. Thank you very much on that. The last, or the staying on the online presence stuff, so just some interesting stats that I was looking at online. So our current membership on the LinkedIn group, just because we've been doing the most traction recently on that, I think we're now at 311 members and growing. And it's actually, I took the time today and went through the list of who we've got. It's a lot more design architects, a lot more engineers than I would have originally thought would be in there, which is a really good thing. I think we're getting a really good traction of people that are interested in this. And now it's really just how can folks not just be interested, but be vocal about it, because it's really going to take the voice of everybody doing this. So it was, I did think it was, I basically went through based on what we talked about of what defines an industry member versus sort of a technology or service partner. And right now we're looking at about 1/3 technology and service partner side and 2/3 industry side, which is great. I mean, that's a very hard network to create within sort of the technology side of the world. Usually it's much more heavy on the technology side and less on the industry side. So definitely something that we are really the voice of the industry, and that, you know, sorry, at any rate. So as we keep going here, there is a Twitter handle as well. We're going to be looking to start utilizing that as even more so. And I think Lonnie made some great points. I had to get some of those industry influencers. We don't have great numbers on Twitter right now because honestly, we just haven't focused on it that much. But it does seem to be kind of the business B2B tech space for this stuff. So I think we can get a lot of attention and international attention too. I think for folks that don't realize how many folks on our member list are outside of the US, and a lot of them are in the UK and are dealing with UK BIM mandates and things like that. So it's cool stuff that I think stuff that we're trying to figure out here definitely resonates all around the world.
Isn't there
the last thing? Oh, go ahead. Yep.
Oh, isn't there an app out there that I think a friend has it that if CPCoalition is mentioned in Twitter, it automatically posts it on LinkedIn via the account and then vice versa? I think that exists somewhere where, you know, we're not relying on somebody to post it, but we can get that traction of if somebody posts something on LinkedIn, it automatically goes to Twitter. I forget what engine auto does that.
I mean, I wrote Hootsuite here, and there's a lot of them that do that, and we can even do it with, you know, if this then that. It's more just who has the time and capacity and expertise to do that. I'm wondering if anyone on the call has interest, or as I'm looking down the list of who's here. But that is definitely, I think, a need, both the Twitter side and support. If anyone is good with WordPress, I know Terry, you've done a ton of work in there, and would love to take some of it off your plate. And help, you know, keep up on the press page, keep up things that are going on. You know, do we want to move our Twitter feed and some of the feeds into the website to create more of a holistic sort of marketing campaign? Again, this gets outside of my expertise, but things that we're going to have to do based on, you know, as a coalition. So, any thoughts on the social side before we move into the data dictionary?
So I think you mentioned that the website's a WordPress site. So there's a number of really clean plugins that you can WordPress that once you post something on your WordPress site, it'll automatically push to a number of different, you know, your Twitter account, your account, anything and everything that you want to go to without having to do separate posts for all of it. So I think since the main site is WordPress, that might be a great place to start to make sure all the posts originate and then get out to all the things that we want them to go through.
Now, Lonnie, is that something like an integrated, you know, social marketing media strategy? Is that something that you consider part of the overall strategy that you're building in your report, or is that a separate effort?
It's a tactical part of the overall effort, but not something I necessarily. I would want to, you know, I can definitely make some recommendations on the different things that I know that are out there. But the strategy of to make sure that we are using all the variety of different social media, you know, elements that are out there, and that we're pushing and having influencers be part of that. The way it are from the website and that it goes out, or if we try to pick a specific social media that we start from, and then everything get going from there. So, like for example, when I make a post on one, like Instagram, for example, the minute I post something on Instagram, it automatically pushes to Facebook, it pushes to LinkedIn, pushes to Twitter, pushes to Pinterest. I mean, I just do one post, it goes to every social media I'm connected to.
Well, yeah, to me, I'm envisioning a lean process map of like, from WordPress to Twitter to whatever, of how we're gonna very efficiently leverage social media. To me, that is one portion of the plan. So I think, yeah, the higher level strategy, that'd be great to have that as a subsection with your expertise of how do we connect the right apps in a more automated workflow so that whoever actually implements that, it's not a lot of work on our end. It's just a one-time setup.
Yeah, that's actually how I did both Club Revit and BIM. I used WordPress as the primary place. I did all of my posts were on my WordPress site, and then I had automated posting to all of the social media from there.
And Lonnie, I think there's sort of a budget to this as well, because some of this is going to be, we have to say how much does it cost to run CPCoalition. So therefore, how much do we need from industry partners or technology partners to help make this run? So anything that on those fronts, the dollars make it even better too.
Yeah, they're really good. They're really good social media plugins. They cost a little bit. They're not that much though. They're under $100.
Yeah, I think it's more of a resource budget. Like if we were to get either a part-time or a full-time or some sort of a person, what kind of work effort does it take to do? And are we going to find folks as volunteers, or are we going to go get someone? So that was the question I had. So I'd be curious, any of your expertise on that, having done that before.
Content is.
But that's for the. Okay.
Yeah, no,
awesome.
Content is the heart of so that's where the bulk of the effort will go, is getting the content. And creating the content is pretty straightforward, but it's building the build, and it's the passionate stuff, the challenge always.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So moving on, I don't believe Chris Lingies is on the call. He may or may not be dealing with that hurricane. Actually, no, I think he's in a different part of the country. But a quick update on the Common Data Dictionary, or it's had a lot of different names, but it's essentially establishing not necessarily a new standard, but looking at the existing standards that are out there. Those that are in the BIM world know a lot of them, but we deal with many of them on our job sites. And so between COBie standards or this the COSA, AGC XML, we've got even CSI and some of the spec writing. I think there's a lot of standards that we can start to look at. What should we be promoting as sort of the best standard, and try and get everybody funneled towards the same standards, or influence the alignment between standards. So I did think for folks who haven't ever maybe hear of COBie but haven't actually ever seen kind of what it looks like, I was doing a little bit of research, and I just found a really simple COBie spreadsheet essentially, which is what is the information that would typically come in per a BIM object or per any sort of element information. And you can see, your specification session, your submittal name, a lot of the same stuff that we're dealing with in our project management solutions, in our submittal logs, and even here, once again, PDF file name. So where are there ways where we can take these things that are already a pain in the butt for a lot of guys to figure out from a owner handover or anything else, and at least get a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-1 or a 5-for-1 if we can integrate all these different systems around a common naming convention. So at a very high level, that is essentially what this initiative of the Common Data Dictionary is. And the way we're going to try and do that is first by gathering the existing data standards and really coming up with as simple of a report as we can of where that current standard is and what's working and where some of the challenges are. So I'll be looking for a lot of feedback from folks, and that will most likely be a breakout session during BIM Forum to gather more information there, and then work towards establishing what our formal report or recommendations for a Common Data Dictionary by Autodesk University. and I'm sure a lot of the tech guys on the call are interested in that, because that's how we're going to develop all our API calls, all of our sort of how we're going to get consistent across the road. So I think a lot of exciting potential there, but still a lot of unknown. So we're going to be, again, ask a lot of questions, trying to figure that out as we go.
Nathan, have you reached out to anybody in Costa yet about that?
Well, Benny Baltrowski was in the meeting, and he was pretty active with it. So I owe a reach out to him, which I was going to try and do this blast out to most folks next week. Chris and he's been on vacation. We've just been busy. So we're going to put our heads together. And actually, I think, Alan, you should probably be part of that as well, just to make sure that we know who we're going off to talk to and what information we're gathering, so that we can at least collect it all together in a studio session to start reviewing and collaborating.
Okay, I think James Benham leads that, so we may want to just talk to him. He'd be more than happy to jump in with us.
I know. Well, I'm going to be on his podcast in 3 weeks, so we'll find out. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So Benny seemed really excited, so I want to go through Benny, but I also definitely want to talk to Mr. Benham as well about it.
Okay.
And then it sounds like the National CAD Standards, which is another big one, Johnny Fortune, they have a session at Autodesk University where Sasha Reed's going to be one of the panelists representing CPCoalition and Building Smart. And so, definitely quite a few conversations around trying to align these data standards across the industry. All right. So I think the best, I actually kind of liked how we did it last time. Brianna, if you're able to, can you, we can maybe roll call based on the phone numbers, and we'll just go down the list and everyone can introduce themselves and who they're with, and why they're interested, why they're on the call.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Great. Sorry I joined in a little bit late, but I'm sitting in the Lend-Lease office with Jim Genteel. I'm the interim secretary for the group, and Jim Genteel is heading the initiative for updating the 1.0
standards. Yep.
So Jim, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I think you did. So Jim Genteel, Lend-Lease, in charge of the 1.0 to 1.5 update or refresh before AU. So from there, I think we can start at the bottom of this call log. So who is 213-327-2944?
You don't need to say the whole number, just say the first three.
Well,
there are 213 numbers.
Oh, touche. 213-327.
That might be us. No, we're the next one.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna skip the 213 numbers at the bottom. What about 859?
That's me. This is Chris Reddy. I'm from Avail, former, recently recovering architect. So I guess I'm technically a technology partner, but in my brain, I'm still an architect. So I don't know how you want to deal with that one.
I know, Chris. It's a horrible moral dilemma because I'm in the same boat coming from the GC side. So I feel you. Yeah. We're gonna have to figure out what our definition is. We're happy.
And what exactly is recovering architect? Because I hear it all the time. What are we recovering from? There's no shame in our profession.
I won't say there's shame in the profession. There's shame in the workload that's put on us sometimes, I guess. Recovering from levels of activity that should not be put on people.
All right, who is 786? All right, we're skipping. Who is?
No, that's me. That's Michael Martin. I'm co-founder of ePermit Hub. So we're software startup that we're working on trying to connect jurisdictions to the construction industry. So we're very interested in these PDF standards as it applies to electronic plan review and such for cities and counties.
And actually, Michael, let's go ahead and have all the ePermit Hub guys introduce yourselves now. And I pulled up the website here because I haven't updated the group too much, but from what I know, it's very interesting where you guys are coming from more of the jurisdiction and the inspector side of things, trying to solve that pain point. Yeah, great to have you guys on the call, and let's go through the ePermit Hub, guys.
Sure. Hey, this is Nathan, can you hear me? This is Drew. Make sure I'm off mute.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, this is Drew Arnold. I actually wear two hats. One is with the Permit Hub with Michael, but then also I'm with Excella Software, which is the largest provider of permitting software to government AHJs. So Excella and ePermit Hub work closely together, and we also come at this from the government side, and are very interested in what's going on with CPC. So thank you for having us on.
Yeah, and this is David Peraza, also co-founder of ePermit Hub. So working on the nice software that needs to happen for this connection between the jurisdictions and the architects. So mainly focus on the software architecture and all those nice things. Thanks for inviting us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else from the ePermit Hub group? All right, so we're on to the next number, which would be 323.
Yeah, that's me. This is Joel Marquez with Orange Blade Consultants. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. Great. All right. I'm a 7-year Bluebeam employee, and I'm now working for Orange Blade Consultants, one of their top resellers. I talk to everybody. I talk to everybody from the multinational general contractors down to the mom and pop subcontractors to municipalities trying to do plan review or permitting review. So my role in coming to this, and I've met most of you guys at the Extreme Conference meeting, but I come to this from sort of a training and consulting side. So I'm interested in trying to find solutions that help my customers do their jobs better. So I actually have a use for evangelizing the coalition to a lot of my customers, and so that's my role here. And I'm interested in picking up a lot of the tools that you're offering, the kind of conceptual content that I can pass along to my customers. And I do a lot of training as well, so there's a lot of space for me to inject what the coalition has to offer. One of the things that I'm trying to do right now is work through some real life situations where I'm trying to get CAD files to a point where they can be turned into usable PDFs. And I know that there was some conversation at the Extreme Conference meeting about using some of the resources at Autodesk to try to facilitate that process. So my, hang on one second. I'm actually outdoors right now, and there was an overhead train going by, so I just muted myself for a second. My big interest right now is in trying to kind of replicate some of the workflows that a lot of people in the industry are doing to try to make their CAD files turned into usable PDFs. And I know that there was some question as to whether or how that was going to be used, or turn into actionable items by people communicating with Autodesk. I wonder if there's anything more to that. I know that there was some talk about steps and workflows that could be recommended. Any thought about that?
Well, Frank Moore, I know, joined us later. You want to respond to that, Frank? We have someone from Autodesk on the call.
I think the problem.
Oh, great.
Hey, this is Frank. Can you guys hear me okay? I don't particularly like
you're good, Frank.
On a Friday afternoon before Labor Day weekend, so I'm pointing my camera up into the ceiling there, Nathan, because I can't figure out how to turn it off. But yeah, I think there is a wealth of information, and I think the issue is there are multiple ways to create PDFs, right? from AutoCAD. And so I do think that the issue of searchable text, we could easily declare that, right? But depending on how you make your PDF, you can do that. There are a wealth of accuracy issues when you try to take a DWG and bring it to PDF. So I think we've got a, it's complex, but we were happy to sort of suggest, and then certain things where out of our control, depending on what driver you use or what methodology you use to create the PDF. So there's but we're happy to put together some guidance on that, especially the one around searchable PDF, which is a no-brainer, right? I think we already declared something, and so I think, but some of it is also really the onus is on the user, right? What they're doing, but certainly, as my hypothesis and my assertion is that existing users could leverage some of the tools that they don't know about to do that. So we're happy to put together some guidance around that. And then, yeah, there's something up on screen there. Using data-rich drawings from AutoCAD. Is that somebody's?
Yeah. Well, so yeah. So Frank, for the call next week, Terry, maybe you can tell the story of Anthony, but there was a great presentation at the New York Bluebeam users group, and it was about how to produce PDFs as a PDF coalition, and it got pretty specific. And so I do think that it's about, you're right, we're not going to solve everything. The tool doesn't fix the people problems. There's still people problems, but at least if we can identify what are the most common things that we do wrong as designers and design document producers, and really focus on teaching the basics and then sort of moving on from there. I would love to see some sort of professionally done with, that really cool logo as Lonnie was describing, kind of image at the beginning and the end saying, here's us in Autodesk supporting, how to use Autodesk products in the best way to produce open source PDFs that we bring into all sorts of different tools. So yeah, I think we've got some of the parts and pieces here. It'd be great to get Ivan and get any folks on your end to help us sort of clean it up, polish it up, and market it out.
Right, and there's a deep dark hole around accuracy that we got into when we start looking into this a lot deeper a couple weeks ago, and it's a deep dark hole that I'm not sure if we want to enter that or not. Especially with large maps.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's a subject for later probably.
Yeah, we're going to focus on the problems we can solve, not the ones we can't solve.
Yeah, thanks guys. I really appreciate that. This is Joel again. I perfectly understand that this is a question that can be handled very generally and very specifically. So, but what I'm seeing on the screen right now is a good step toward that direction. And again, I'm just from my perspective, I'm looking for things that I can pass along to my customers, which go all over the map. So, but this looks like a good step in that direction.
Yeah, and so this time next week, Anthony will be going through and highlighting what he talked about in New York. And again, this will be recorded again. So we'll have some good information on here, but I'd love to create some sort of a workflow video, some sort of easy way where we can shoot out that video through our social channels to just help feed, incremental solutions for our design producers. But awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna post on the LinkedIn page. I'm gonna post this presentation from the notes from the user group. I've made it public on the New York City Bluebeam user group page, but this is just something that people can go on to and download, and at a later time we can post it in its PowerPoint state, so just people can go in and reference. I mean, this literally was done by a student that's going into his senior year at Stevens Institute in New Jersey. He's like 21 and he was on a project site and found out about this when he was really eager. So I mean, you can see the kind of work that somebody that that young and still a student has never even worked in the industry really full time is able to put together. So I think it's inspiring for all of us that he as a student cares this much and gets it, and really just gets it without even having really dealt with it.
Well, while we have you want to introduce yourself, Terry Ann?
Oh, sure. I'm Terry Ann. I work with Bluebeam. I'm in New York City. My background was construction for 8 years, and then I started working for Bluebeam in February. And with the coalition, I've been involved since the beginning when I was at Turner. And now my focus is on the website, and just kind of sort of how we can sort of tie in Bluebeam with the coalition. So any sort of past sort of marketing-ish things like the logo, and I work with Brad, who is the one who actually developed the website at Bluebeam, and so he's passed the baton to me.
I think, Terry, that brings up a good point that it's not public yet, but Lend-Lease will be hosting the LA Bluebeam user group at one of our job site offices in October next to the Staples Center. So it might be something that we could talk about, you know, having a little meeting before whoever's in LA. We can always talk about bringing the coalition in a little bit early and also talk there as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity. I think for some of the people in the room, they were, you know, it can be a little esoteric, the talk of PDFs, and they're there to kind of learn about how to make a tool set, and this is a little bit over their heads. But I think once you kind of break it down and you kind of talk about the PDF before getting into actually how to mark up a PDF, I think people can very quickly start to relate to it. It's just then the technical aspects of producing the PDF, a lot of contractors are not going to be able to relate to because they've never opened AutoCAD before. So it's trying to sort of keep all those different parties engaged when we're talking about it.
And that is important, that we are good to separate what videos are for the end users of the documents, what videos are for the producers of the documents as we're communicating to both sides. Because yeah, it does get very confusing very quick. Good point. But I do want to make sure we get through everyone before the end of the hour. I know, Josh, you've been on. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Josh? No, or unless he's muted.
He's on mute.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah,
I got it. I learned a keyboard shortcut for it 20 minutes ago and then forgot it. But I'm back in action. My name's Josh Newland. I'm with ProCore Technologies. We're a web-based collaboration tool, construction management tool for anyone that hasn't heard of ProCore. I used to work for Excel Construction in the San Francisco Bay Area for 5 years and was a big Bluebeam fan and BIM guy and all those other good things like Nathan in his past. My interest from ProCore, I suppose, a few interests. One, in general, we're trying to be a good construction citizen and get behind and help promote good things such as the CPCoalition. And selfishly for ProCore and other tools like us, we care a lot about how PDFs are formatted for things like our drawing viewer. You know, we have a tool where clients can upload a 1,000-page PDF and we split it apart and try to use OCR to name it and number it and hyperlink everything automatically from detailed cutouts. And, you know, if everything was the same way, that'd be a lot easier. We actually have our own set of guidelines somewhere that'll try to correlate with what you guys put together just to see if there's anything that we have that you don't, just to make it easy for tools like ours that are relying on OCR and other things and standards to link a set together seamlessly. Now Nathan's muted. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. All right. Let's see. Who else are we missing on here? We had David. Is anyone else on the call that we didn't talk to? I think we might have gotten everyone.
Alan, probably.
Oh, yes, Alan. I'm sorry. Introduce yourself, Alan.
Alan Engel with JLL.
Oh, come on. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
My background is architecture for 16 years, and I was on the construction side for 2 years, and now I've been on the owner side for the last 5 years. I've been with the Construction PDF Coalition since almost they started. I guess maybe half a year in. That's 3/4 away in. I joined and started helping out. What else you need to know, Nathan?
Well, I was going to say, I'm guessing there's probably about 5 or 6 owners in the U.S. that actually understand and care about data handover, and I'm pretty sure you work with every single one of them. Because you somehow seem to find the people that actually care about the stuff on the handover, which is so important. But yeah, I know you're always bringing what does the owner and the facilities manager really care about at the end of the day. So I know you bring a great perspective.
I try.
Respect for perspective. Okay. Anyone else you missed? All right. Well, with 7 minutes left, I appreciate everybody calling in. Hopefully it was worthwhile and learned something. We'll be trying to figure out now as we record these how to get them up and posted somewhere so that if you do miss one of these calls and you want to listen in, that you can. We are our sort of hack job on a podcast, but we'll figure that out as we go along, and hopefully we'll see some of you in Atlanta at the BIM Forum, and others of you at Autodesk University, and otherwise we'll be continuing on week after week. So unless there's any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up the call.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
You guys have a great Friday.
Okay.
Have a nice
Sorry,
three-day
East Coast
weekend,
people.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Frank.